And our first story on AM News is about the fistfight that ensued in Parliament following a disagreement over government's e-bill, the e-levy bill. The fight ensued when the MPs were voting in a head count to decide whether the e-levy bill should be accepted under a certificate of urgency. The minority had attempted to stop the first Deputy Speaker, Jose Wusu, who was presiding over the House, from leaving his seat and participating in the voting process. This infuriated the majority MPs who met them at the Speaker's table to challenge the NDC MPs. The minority MPs explained that Jose Wusu, while in the position of Speaker, does not have a casting vote. Before the sitting, the majority had held a news conference stating that whereabouts of the Speaker, Alban Bagbin, was unknown.
Like I said, it is a surprise. I see Mr. Speaker's absence as a big surprise. I see Mr. Speaker's absence as a big surprise. We do not know the whereabouts of Mr. Speaker. We do not know.
Have you been able to contact him? I'm sure you have his phone.
I have said, we do not know the whereabouts of Mr. Speaker. It is not for leadership to contact Mr. Speaker. It is for parliamentary service through the clerk to Parliament. The clerk to Parliament and the clerk at table have indicated that they do not know the whereabouts of Mr. Speaker.
Have they reached out to him?
I'm saying that they say so. That's question of whatever, you may find out from them. But for now, we do not know the whereabouts of Mr. Speaker. Thank you so much.
Meanwhile, Majority Leader Oseche Mensah is fighting off claims that the first Deputy Speaker, Jose Wusu, left the seat to take part in the proceedings, which led to the chaotic scenes in the chamber. According to him, the Bekwai MP rather wanted to excuse himself to take his medication and not to partake in the vote. The Swami MP observed that the first Deputy Speaker's ill health was so severe that he shook like a leaf. He spoke with Kwesi Parker-Wilson.
The person, is it the case that a speaker can't even excuse himself to visit the loo? Is it the case? Was this the case? The man was indisposed. He was shivering. And he went to the clinic. The record is there. So we had to persuade him to come and sit. He was in the chamber and he was shaking like a leaf. We had to go and prevail on him to come and preside. Of course, if he's presiding, giving his own long tenure in Parliament, his own understanding of the rules and procedures in Parliament, we thought that to be able to navigate crisis periods much more with respect to the second Deputy Speaker, much more than the second Deputy Speaker. But it was getting too much for him. So he said he wanted to excuse himself, to take his medication, and then perhaps to come back if he felt okay, or perhaps maybe to sit somewhere.
Just for clarity, so he was excusing himself not to come and engage in the voting that was going on? Is that a clarity?
What if he did? What if he did to take his medication, he came, voting was over, and he thought that because somebody else was presiding, he could participate in that? What of that? Is that any illegality in that? There's no illegality.
And we'll be delving a lot more into the proceedings in Parliament last night and the chaotic scenes that have been played out across the country and across the world. Now, away from Parliament, 6 more cases of the new COVID-19 strain Omicron have been detected in some communities in the country. Presidential Advisor on Health, Dr. Anthony Nsiah-Sarri, who confirmed this, will not disclose the areas, but said the airport still leads in the detection of more positive cases. Despite the danger associated with the Omicron strain, Dr. Nsiasare tells Joy News he is hopeful vaccination against the strain will offer significant protection.
Also within the community. And now we've realized that we knew that at least some of them would slip into the community. So the Omicron has come in. The Omicron transmits so fast, and that's why it makes it very dangerous. Because a lot of people will be infected. There are few people who are very vulnerable. So we believe that during this time that we have very few cases in country, we should take advantage, and since we have a lot of vaccines in the country, to vaccinate as many people as possible so that when they are even infected, they will not be sick. One of the most important things about COVID-19 fight is to make sure that you reduce the number of hospitalizations so that you can use the critical care beds for other cases. Because if you put one COVID-19 patient in an isolation center or in an intensive care unit, you cannot put any patient there again. So we have to make sure that we don't have so many very sick patients. And God being so good, cases that we have seen even during this Omicron period, who are vaccinated, only about 2% of them are vaccinated. About 98% of them are about unvaccinated people, which means that the vaccinated people, even if they are positive, don't exhibit signs and symptoms, but they can infect.
Okay.
So taking the passengers, testing them, and isolating the positive cases will reduce the number of cases which is being done. Because since the beginning of this month, in fact, from the second week of December, most of the cases that we are seeing for the first week of December, the first week of December, are mostly about 60% of them are from the airport.
Okay.
So in the community, there are very few cases. In fact, there are about 10 of the regions for the past 1 month don't have any positive case. So it's a good sign for us. But we have to work hard, increase our vaccination, and then testing at the airport, isolating them, and making sure that they don't go into the community.
In a related development, the Foreign Affairs Ministry has placed a travel ban on 3 countries amidst an upsurge in Omicron cases. The statement from the Foreign Affairs Ministry reads, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration of the Republic of Ghana wishes to inform the general public that the government of Ghana has initiated a temporary travel restriction on all travelers arriving from Israel from Monday, 20th December 2021 for a period of 14 days, except in exceptional humanitarian cases or during official travels. Permission would have to be obtained from the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration in exceptional cases. To this end, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration wishes to state that the general public should take note of the above and adhere to it accordingly. This is the second one, which has to do with South Korea. So it reads that the government has initiated a temporary travel restriction on all travelers arriving from South Korea from Monday, 20th December 2021 for a period, again, of 14 days, same as in the case of Israel. And then the third one has to do with Malta. And it also reads, the government of Ghana has initiated a travel ban on all travelers to and from Malta, in this case, to and from Malta, with effect from Monday, 20th December, due to the Omicron virus. The ministry further wishes to indicate that the government of Ghana does not recognize any vaccine certificate from Malta. So essentially, if you have a vaccine certificate from Malta, the government would not recognize it, or you would not be deemed as having been vaccinated. And then to this end, the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and Regional Integration wishes to state that the general public should take note of the above and adhere accordingly. Now, Chief Executive Officer of the Petroleum Commission, Egbert Fable Jr., says his outfit will adopt the recommendations of the Safe Sea Access Framework to address the increasing negative impact of oil and gas operations on the environment, fishing among others. Mr. Fable says the purpose of the platform is to facilitate a coordinated approach to effectively manage the cumulative impact of offshore oil and gas projects development in the Western region. Correspondent Inathalia Kwanzaa has the rest of the story.
Speaking at the 7th edition of the Joint Petroleum Commission Western Region House of Chiefs Working Group to solicit for good counsel to improve community relationships and the general growth of the oil and gas sector, Mr. Egbert Fable Jr. noted the Petroleum Commission understands that the chiefs and traditional rulers are best placed to understand the needs and aspirations of the people.
The Petroleum Commission understands that it is the chiefs and traditional rulers who are best placed to understand the needs and aspirations of the people, the challenges of the local environment and the local economy, including the fisheries sector, and for that matter, the dynamics of the different groups living in the local environment, for which reason we will continue to engage with you on matters affecting the petroleum industry. Being a major stakeholder in the upstream sector, your contributions to our operations have been of immense benefit and an achievement we are always grateful for.
He mentioned some key activities executed by the Commission in 2021. They include the Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Project and the Incursion Sensitization Campaign. The Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Building Project was established in November 2017 to enhance the capacity of Ghanaians to enable them work effectively in the oil and gas sector.
You may recall that the Accelerated Oil and Gas Capacity Building Project, or program AOGC, was inaugurated in November 2017 with the intent of enhancing the capacities of Ghanaians to enable them work in the oil and gas sector. The program aims at training individuals in various technical and vocational areas, building the capacities of educational institutions to be able to train students, provide internationally recognized training certificates, provide business and management training for SMEs, and ensure the continuous professional development of employees of various public institutions connected to the oil and gas industry. This year, I'm happy to inform you that the AOGC program under the Commission is training 150 young Ghanaians carefully selected from a pool of 3,500 through stringent and competitive selection procedure involving advertisement, examination, and the face-to-face interview process. The 150 are presently in residence at the Jubilee Technical Training Center of the Takoradi Technical University and are being trained to acquire vocational, practical, and hands-on skills that will position the trainees to take opportunities in the upstream oil and gas industry.
Nana Kobnan Ketia V, the Paramount Chief of Escado, who chaired the meeting, appreciated the excellent commitment of the Commission to advancing Ghana's oil and gas upstream sector. He stressed the need for more indigenous companies to operate in the space, while attention was also given to the fishery sector for mutual growth, trust, and peaceful coexistence.
Services the service industry, the oil services industry. That's why it was in terms of corporate social responsibility and becoming. But you now see a budget to the Urban Petroleum Commission itself. Now, one in Kitama, Boyan Zia, or could the thought say, they are not careful now upstream business and the problems they have. And see, no so. For
Joy News in Athalia, Kwanza, Western Region.
From the Western Region, we go to the Upper West Region, where newly enskined Chief of Visa in the Akwa East District, Na Ganiyu Abdullahi, has penciled agriculture as its topmost priority. It's as the area has vast arable land for farming and, if used judiciously, will help lift the people out of the poverty quagmire they are wallowing in. Na Ganiyu made the statement shortly after he was enskinned as a Chief of Visa, a community, by the overlord of the Wala traditional area, Na Fuseini Seidu Pelpo IV. Correspondent Rafiq Salam witnessed the event, and here's his report.
For several years, there have been disputes as to which clan is the rightful owner of the Visa land, which has thus resulted in the skin dispute. Several individuals have over the years styled themselves as the occupants of the skin. None of them, however, have ever been introduced to the Wala overlord, Na Fuseini Seidu Pelpo IV, or outlawed. One of Fuseini Seidu Pelpo IV, since he ascended to the throne, has couched a plan to ensure that all vacant skins in the Wala traditional area are filled. There was joy and excitement at the forecourt of the Wana's Palace when 52-year-old international business mogul Abdullahi Abdul Ghani Senu, popularly known as Kanazoi, was introduced to the Wana, who the latter later enskinned as the Chief of Visa. He swore an oath of allegiance to the Wala overlord and also to protect his people throughout his reign. Spokesperson of the Wana, Jimpena Kadir Ibrahim, spoke of the significance of the enskinment.
This decision, this enskinment of the VCA chief this morning brought to an end a long-standing dispute that has existed between the people of VCA or the Samuni and the Gudayiri, and by extension the Nigeria paramountcy. So this symbolized the resolution of that long-standing conflict. Now, after all, VCA has a chief, and the chief is of Samuni stock, and then you could see that the Perisina, the Yerona, all the principal important chiefs of the Nigeria group, which had the territorial problems.
Nan Abdullah Ganiu, who prized the trade between Ghana and Burkina Faso, pledged to ensure that poverty is eradicated from the area through agriculture. My intention is to bring tractors to help my people to farm. Farming is big business. Once they are heavily engaged, they will not sit down or idling. He later rolled out of the Wana's palace and headed to Sembleiri, where he called on the head of the Samuni Okantoso clan, Alaji Senu. Reporting for J News, Rafik Salam. Wow.
And that'll be all for the AM News. Up next, we're bringing you the news review. Do stay tuned in.